Greetings fellow gamers, I'm the Soulsborne Seeker and today I'll be giving my first impressions on Being and Becoming, a cosmic horror Metroidvania game that has been on my top 10 most anticipated games of all time since 2023 and even made thumbnail for one of my first ever list videos. Being and Becoming doesn't have a release date yet, but the developers were kind enough to invite me early to the title's playtest before it goes public on the 20th of January, so my coverage will be based on the 1 hour and 10 minutes that I experienced during said demo. Being and Becoming transpires in a dying kingdom that's been plunged into the collective dream of thousands of would-be martyrs, a dream corrupted by a malevolent entity known as the Word, who aims to use all of the entrapped believers in order to realize a foreboding prophecy. You are a Lucid Dreamer, a being capable of possessing those stuck in this reverie, a power that you will use in order to dive into the hellscape created by the Word and end his reign of deception once and for all. This is one of those games that aims to go big with its themes in a way similar to Blasphemous, with the narrative clearly featuring religious overtones of the biblical kind. For example, the world is at times referenced as a lost paradise, a place where a small seed of evil was once planted, which slowly bloomed tendrils of corruption that infected the land and led its people astray. The Word himself is a deceiver, a creature that tries to bend the truth in order to manipulate others into doing its bidding by offering things that may initially look like gifts but are exposed as anything but such by the lucid eye, while another entity known as the Monarch is trying to guide you and protect you from the former's machinations. Every piece of narrative I witnessed exuded symbolism and was strengthened even more by a sublime soundtrack that accompanied my every move, as well as a fantastic cast of voice actors that did a phenomenal job of fleshing out every unfortunate soul I came across, effectively permeating the whole experience with a reverent sense of gravitas and promising a powerful story that I can only hope will live up to its potential. The world itself looks amazing, courtesy of the incredible pixel-perfect art style utilized to bring it to existence. The two biomes I got to explore were impeccably designed and diametrically opposite in theme, with my initial foray into the setting finding me venturing across the weathered halls of an ancient temple, while the second one had me fighting for dear life over the open skies of a paradise-like city where eldritch things brewed beneath the obvious surface. Each area brimmed with environmental details that told stories of their own, as well as various secrets that waited to be discovered. Speaking of secrets, the collectibles I got to uncover during the demo were of 6 types in total, namely chainlink fragments, journal pages, weapons, relics, precious stones, and traversal abilities. Chainlink fragments increase your health chain by 1 link when collected in groups of 4. Journal pages refer to scattered pieces of written information left behind by various enigmatic characters, which add to the overall lore of the world. Weapons are pretty self-explanatory and correspond to the armaments you will be using in order to defend yourself against the horrors of the dream. Relics are mystical artifacts that you can equip at a cost in order to gain combat benefits, though the full extent of their utility remains to be seen since I only found 1 of them. Precious stones are the game's main currency and, as far as I saw, can be used at merchants in exchange for goods. Finally, coming across lucid dreamers that perished allows you to take their essence in order to unlock new traversal abilities and access previously inaccessible areas. The game's map overview did leave a lot to be desired since, as far as the demo is concerned, it didn't really mark anything on it aside from save points and the spot where I died, and didn't feature any manual markers either, though the full game could very well offer these additional benefits later in the playthrough. The one merchant I discovered that was relevant to the map was an eccentric creature with an odd personality who sold map fragments that revealed unexplored areas of the corresponding biome, which is definitely a helpful service, so maybe there will be more such purchases or actions that will lead to further details being added gradually. Platforming was incredibly fun and exciting, with the 2 areas I braved each having its own set of acrobatic trials and tribulations that required snappy reflexes and good observation, especially the second one, which did feature some really creative gauntlets that were a joy to overcome. The game's latest trailer actually allows a glimpse into even more such set pieces, so lovers of platforming will most likely feel right at home here. That being said, I did come across a minor issue in relation to this aspect of the game, and that was related to the process of jumping away from a rope I was holding onto while dangling over hazards, or a wall I was pressed against during a wall jump. More specifically, there were a few times when the jump didn't register, which I believe is related to how sensitive the controls are when tilting the analog stick away from the wall or rope. This wasn't that frequent to be honest, but I did notice it, and I think that it can be very easily tweaked in order to be completely spot on since, overall, the platforming experience came off as quite fluid and engaging. Combat-wise, the game fully delivers by offering a fast-paced and hefty experience. There were two weapons I got to wield against my enemies here, namely the Exalted Axe and Cleaver pair, which allowed for hectic attacks that turned my enemies to mincemeat, as well as the Steadfast Anchor, which was slow and heavy but dealt massive damage, and was also used for environmental interactions, such as knocking mines toward breakable obstacles. My battle arsenal was further complemented by a parry system which, when performed successfully, left enemies stunned and open to attacks. Healing is carried out via the use of blood charges, which replenish by attacking enemies and using save points, and are capped at a maximum of 3. Dying didn't seem to lead to any loss of currency or other form of punishment, at least as far as I could deduce. In terms of bosses, there were a total of 2 big bads that tried to take me down here, one mini-boss and one main. The former was fun, though definitely on the easier side of things, but the latter more than made up for that by giving me a proper challenge that fully necessitated pattern recognition and quick reactions, and required a few tries for me to finally take it down. If said boss is representative of the rest that we'll have to beat, then we're in for a fun ride. As for difficulty, I'd situate Being and Becoming on the normal to slightly challenging side of things, with some spikes here and there related to certain platforming segments as well as the aforementioned boss. Before we get to the end of this review, one thing that I want to mention is that during the first biome, I experienced what looked like minor instances of screen tearing, which, upon closer inspection, seemed to be a result of the gradual fading effect of the luminance surrounding the protagonist, thus giving the illusion of screen tearing. It wasn't really an issue, and I stopped perceiving it after a point, but I figured it was worth noting in case it can be addressed. Also, the popping up of item and ability explanations when first acquired was somewhat abrupt, and should be smoothed out for a more seamless experience. Overall, my time with this small snippet of Being and Becoming was incredibly promising, and showed me that my faith in this game over the past few years was well placed. I absolutely adored the atmosphere and world building, the narrative is my kind of grandiose and apocryphal, platforming was fun and fluid, combat felt hefty and satisfying, and finally, the one major boss I duked it out with offered a proper challenge. There is a bit of tweaking that could be done in relation to platforming in order to tighten things up a notch. I do hope that the map will become more efficient as the game progresses, tutorial pop-ups should be smoothed out a little, and there's this minor visual discrepancy I mentioned when it comes to the first biome, but none of these issues were able to bog down an otherwise wonderful experience. Being and Becoming feels lovingly crafted, with significant attention to detail and a clear admiration for effective and meaningful storytelling, which, when paired with the fun gameplay present here, makes for a truly compelling concoction as well as a potential contender for one of the best games in the genre. What are your thoughts on Being and Becoming? Are you excited about it? Will you be giving the demo a go when it comes out in a few days? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Soulsborne Seeker out.